Hello, BAME Farm fans. We're here with the 1086, and I don't know if anybody's noticed, maybe not so much on this tire, but if we go to the other side, oh yeah, there's very little tread. So we're gonna put some fresh shoes on the back. I guess we'll keep the 1086 for a while longer. It just keeps running and running. It has like 12,000 hours on it. And there's no stopping it. You know why there's no stopping it? Well, I found out in one crazy way that it's unstoppable. See that blue paint? Yeah, you see those pieces of shrapnel? Yeah. Isn't that just lovely? Oh, there's more blue paint. That's not tractor paint. So I got passed on the left. Well, not on the left. I got passed while making a left-hand turn. Oh, this was about, I don't know, a little over a month ago. A vehicle passed at least one car that was following me to pass me while making a left-hand turn. Thankfully, the driver behind me stuck around, and they thought it was very apparent that I was going to make a left-hand turn, and this other vehicle came flying up. Managed to strike, obviously got the axle, the rim. Their poor truck was in much worse shape, and the tractor rolled away. So hopefully we can see this. And the fisheye of this lens may not work, but there is a slight ovaling of the rim. So we're getting a new rim on this wheel too. As part of this project. Like, it's smashed in the bead down here, but also like it elongated it and loosened up. Maybe we can see it here on the top, where that one's real good, right there. Like, because it elongated it and made it loose so the tire could move. Kind of bent it somewhat. So yeah, everything else stayed together. Of course, there could be a video later where for some reason the axle falls off, and I will blame it on that incident, but that is not today, hopefully not tomorrow, and hopefully never. Yeah, these are all loose. I haven't even done anything to these yet. I mean, I put some WD-40 on them, but I haven't taken anything more than the impact to them. They just got jarred loose, I guess, by that interaction. So I think this will be fun. We'll see how many of these come loose. That one's loose, that one's tight, that one's tight, that one's loose, tight, loose, loose, semi-loose. Like, which ones have pressure on them because of how the rim got. Well, we got a hammer and push, get all these out. I have it jacked up. I'm sure somebody saw the jack. It's not off the ground, I just need enough weight off the tire. We're gonna, well, we're riding with fluid. We're gonna go, yeah, here's a big like hint. We're gonna go from riding on fluid to pure air. And I don't know if I've shown off, we've probably seen in some videos, I got a bunch of cast iron laying around. Now we can't see it here in that mess. But I've slowly acquired a bunch of wheel weights at some auctions over the years. So we're going to be looking old school cool with our cast iron, and hopefully riding on air will make the tires last even longer instead of having fluid in them. I'm getting the loose ones out. I mean, the wedges just kind of wedge in, you know, between a little sloped portion of the rim. I mean, we could do this on either side if we wanted to. For some reason I feel like, you know, we want to keep the same spacing. But look at how much extra rim we have. We could move it over and make it so this casting is much closer, you know, on the axle. And theoretically that's less stress, but we'll still have the wheel just as far out. So maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm just imagining things and I can't reach back here like I want to. Could you imagine if the wheel was set all the way in and we just got to reach around this way? Get them out. Well, isn't that kind of a cool look? Kind of looks like a 2+2, just a lot shorter, right? Yeah, I know, it's still in the garage. The mechanical things are fixed, and I'd like to keep it from being like this tractor, and so I'd like to do the AC up real nice, but I have no clue what I'm doing, and I just keep putting it off and putting it off, and then stuff gets stacked on the tractor, so I gotta spend a whole day probably re-cleaning out the garage to get down to the tractor to finish putting the cab together nicely. Projects. So while we're at this, we're trying to move the center in, and we've got the special tool, which doesn't really do much besides, once you finally get the wedges loose, it just keeps it from backing out, and it creates a flat spot for this wedge to push against, or whichever wedge you get to come loose. And in the great book of how-to on this, you're not supposed to require any more than 500 foot-pounds of torque on the bolt down in there to pop them loose. And I had at least a 6-foot bar, and me on the end of it, loosening to get much more than 500 foot-pounds of torque. And eventually we just took a hammer, hit it square on the head, and that seemed to knock it loose. And now we're putting the loosening tool in place.
Give me some lubricant back on those.
I'll probably end up telling you guys more about the process and actually showing you, because it was something, all right. It was something. A lot of hammering. And I'm so glad we have the impact. But we moved in. That way we figured 6 inches, because there's 4 inches difference between these two grooves. And once you put the blocks, we change sides there, and that's a 2-inch difference from one side to the other for the placement of the bevel in the rim. So now I doubt we'll ever do it, but we do have room for a dual hub if we're ever so wild and excited. Theoretically, there's a lot less stress on the axle now because it's closer. Even though the wheel is still going to be spaced out, it's at least applying the force to a different spot down there. Well, I just spent some time reading a good book, shop manual, because I noticed something. You see the shape on that clamp? And that one is flat and doesn't, rub against that beveled surface there. Well, from reading, I found out there's 2 of these per each wheel, and they're supposed to be placed 90 degrees from each other and engage what they call the lugs. See, they don't have lugs all the way around. There's only 6 lugs total on each bevel of this rim, which is odd. I would feel more comfortable if there was a ton of them, but I guess different manufacturers spaced them different, and we're changing the spacing because this rim is different. So we're doing, instead of an even 12 all the way around, we're going to do 3, 3, 3, 3, because that'll line up with how the lugs are put there. But I got to figure out, how to come up with 90 degrees, which it looks like if we do this bottom one and that one with the funny clamp here, then that'll be 90 degrees, and the rest of them we tighten. That's the only thing they say, which that one, you see how tight that is? That spot right there, based on the rust, had one of those special clamps that doesn't ride against the bevel. And then if we did it wrong last time, this rim got replaced, that one right there should have been, but it's not. Or this one over here. So we didn't do it right, because this is the one that a couple years ago the bead rusted out of, but we got all new everything going on here. So yeah, that's lovely. We'll check on this side. I found one over here. There's one right there in the darkness, and if we come, that's not quite 90 degrees. That's one position off of 90 degrees. But only one of those engages a lug, it looks like. I think that top one and all the mud might, but I'm not sure that one does. So yes, interesting note. That's how they claim these are centered, I guess. I don't know how that works, so I'll take their word for it. I love my Milwaukee Impact. On a fun side note, put some tires on a vehicle with this, and then went to go have the tires changed at a tire store, and I was sitting inside and it seemed like they were taking forever. And they were, and the boss was like, "Man, what'd you put those lug nuts on with?" And I was like, "Well, we got a Milwaukee Impact." He's like, "Oh yeah, we sent the poor kid out there with a DeWalt." There, that's my tool bashing for the day. So I've got the special clamps all tightened up, set it on full blast, and went full ugga-dugga. They're not going anywhere. And now I got to do the other ones. I took it off the ground, and those clamps are holding the weight, so hopefully that's the correct thing to do. And now we're going to go around on the back side and tighten up all the rest. I'm going to save you guys the noise, but it'll pull it in. I've got it, off the ground now. You can compare. Of course, obviously it's going to look lopsided because the one tire's off the ground. Maybe just having another inch of bar tread on there makes the tires look that much taller. This side hasn't been apart in I don't know how many years, if ever. A long time ago, 20 plus years ago, the wedges had been loosened because we took the tires off and this thing got some transmission work done. But I think this rim is fairly original to this tractor, at least from what I know in my lifetime. Oh, but I still would touch them with a 39.5-foot pole. Ha ha ha. So I gotta go around at the breaker bar and a lovely huge Craftsman ratchet, 3/4 drive, and break them loose. The Impact wasn't budging these. I already got that one loose by the looks of it. I got 3 of them to come loose. And none of them want to make noise and squeak on camera, but I had a couple of them making noise at me because they were tight and rusty. Who remembers my lovely bar here? An extender, and my weight on the end of that. Let's just say the good shop manual book only says you're supposed to have 500 foot-pounds of torque to bust those apart, and we're already there. And then you're supposed to smack the axle around, and that's supposed to pop it loose. What we did yesterday, take this off, make lots of noise. We just smacked it square on the head of that bolt. We actually used a hammer, one of the smallest sledges as a buffer, and that seemed to pop it loose. Maybe we can soak it with some more PB Blaster if we really want to, but there's pressure against it. It's hard. Maybe there's been a hair movement, but not enough. So, got to get a little bit persuasive with it, the hammer. And we can see where we were. And we're slid in, moved it in 6 inches. Got a wedge ready here. Get all the dust off of it. Make sure it's nice and shiny. See how well it makes contact with the axle there. Oh. Okay, try it. It's gonna be loud.
Looks like it's in.
Yeah, I mean, it slid in. Okay, magical moment. The tire's on, we think the bolts are tight. Hopefully. Just a little bit of sag. Okay, time for a quick trip down the road. I'll come back and check and see if they're tight. Looks a little different now with the centers moved. That's all gonna get filled with cast iron. Yeah. So we found some hardened threaded rod. It's class B7, not 8, B7. It's hard to find grade 8 and a 3/4 rod. And that's how we're gonna stack a bunch of weights on here. Do you really want to see me sweating that much? I'll just show you what it looks like at the end, but we're going to probably layer a nut between each piece. Halves on the inside, and full circles will go on the outside. Now let's get some action putting these on. I will say the back side is the easy side, and I'm trying to figure out which way is the best way to go with these. I'm kind of putting them on staggered. Doing my best not to bust a finger, maybe. Right, who am I kidding? And I don't know, we're putting them on a little different every time. Just making sure they're the same thickness. Oh, this is tight. It's always tight. It's even more fun with the weight. These things weigh 70 pounds. I haven't smashed a finger too badly yet. There we go. The goal is just to put them on a little differently every time, so they overlap. That's the plan, even though the other side I didn't put together this way. If you'd all just slide together, that would be great. And we're nutting and washing every layer. Take me a second or two to get these run in. That's putting a weight on. It's not quick, but it'll get done. Got 2 more layers of weights to put on the back side. Now 2.5. The outside's a little easier, but then you gotta line up 4 holes all at once with 100. Well, these weigh, the book claims 75. I weighed one and it was only like 70 pounds. Somebody's making up a story. Let's see, now we come in with a wrench and tighten them, and this kind of works. Tightening the nuts to the outside is much more interesting, to say the least. And this is where we bust a knuckle, because we got to kind of get the wrench to reach down in there. I feel like they make these things and they don't plan on somebody layering so many together like we're doing.
And I don't want them to go anywhere.
Ow, see, that's how we bust a knuckle. Well, here we go, Bame Farm fans. What do we think? End the video with the final product. Oh, look at that stack of cast iron. Old school cool. Oh, yeah. And I gotta wonder if somewhere, if I've got a comparison of what this looked like before. But yep, we moved the centers in 6 inches, traded grooves, traded sides of the rim with the clamps there, and added, I don't know, 1,400 pounds of cast iron. I mean, we had one circle on each side before, so we might have had 600 pounds. We had 1,000 pounds of cast iron each side, I guess. And that's stretching it, making up some numbers, making up some nick numbers, or just kind of whatever that's sort of close. Maybe that is just my... I guess it's straight. For some reason, when I'm up here, that looks like that's sticking out at a weird angle. If I took it down the road, it goes down the road okay. I would imagine, just from sitting, that there may be a flat spot to the tires that needs worked out. A little bit of time in the field, just turning. I'll get everything back flexing properly, but, you know... Just been sitting here with weight on it in the driveway. So yes, everyone's gonna wonder about clearance. I'll let you guys stare down that tunnel. But yeah, I've been collecting these weights for years. It looks better from straight on. Some of these I went with the yellow ones instead of the black ones for some odd reason. And they don't stick out really any more than the axle or the tire. And those inside ones, you know, won't matter. Ford hid weights on the inside of their wheels on the backs of their tractors. These are less hidden. But it, I'd say it, you know, balances it out and moves the weight farther in on the axle, less stress farther out. And someday maybe we'll see about all these weights are on here absolutely wrong to be able to squeeze. These need to be turned 90 degrees if we ever want to have a chance of squeezing a dual hub, and we'll deal with that if we think we need duals, but we've never ran duals before. This tractor pretty well kept things going on this farm for 30 years or more without duals. So we'll park it in the barn, not the rain starting, raining on my parade.